Yeah, come on, come on over to the channel. I'm gonna go some places with my channel, Brian. I think where I'm gonna go with it is I'm gonna take it to the streets, man. I want to talk to people.
Yeah, dude.
I'll let them tell the story,
Dude, it's
you know,
so cool talking to
because
people on the street because the connection you can have with somebody when you're looking them right in the eye, it's way different, dude. It's pretty cool.
exactly, man. I was really inspired by Austin Whitsitt. Whitsitt gets it when he did his tour, man. He was very inspired by that.
Yeah. Yeah, he was doing good.
Yeah, he's a top level dude, man. I have so much respect for that guy. He pretty much, for anybody who doesn't know, he toured the whole country, cities, parks, and he got arrested like twice and shit. Got all kinds of trouble with the feds. Shit, tried to fight it with the feds and do some free speech stuff.
He
I
had
don't know
to,
how that turned out
he
for him or
he
whatever,
he
but
had to deal with
uh,
Nathan Thompson.
huh? Who?
I said he had to deal with Nathan Thompson.
Nathan?
Yeah, you know Nathan. He was on the tour with him. But it didn't turn out so well. They had a little parting of the way.
Well, yeah, that's right. He was supposed to go out with. He was supposed to go on with somebody, and the guy pulled out at the last second. That's right. And that's how that dude. Well, who was on? Dave was on. That one guy. He was. They said he was the most interesting man on flat Earth. He was cool. The guy who was with him the whole time ended up going with him. So yeah, think about the circumstances that Austin went out in, dude. He went around the country getting fucked around with all these cops and stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Just preaching flat Earth, you know. So he inspired me, and like other people, like you don't see him much anymore, but I know he was around. And he used to come to the Flattoberfest. Joshua from Authentic Intent.
Oh yeah, Josh was awesome too,
Remember?
dude. Yeah, I liked
Yeah, I love him. I love the guys out there and on the streets.
Joshua.
That's my
Actually,
favorite, and that's what
Joshua actually just uploaded a video today, and I hadn't seen him upload a
I
video in a
saw it,
while.
dude.
Yeah.
I saw it. I got so excited because I was wondering where he's been. He's always out there on the lake, dude. Yeah, he is a fucking character, dude. His interactions with the people out there, what is he in Minnesota? Where is that where he is? Minnesota? Is fu and he's got so much balls, dude. You know? Um he has a terminal illness, basically.
Hmm.
He's got CF. Um he's got cystic fibrosis. And he's already outlived his purported lifespan. And he's got so much balls, dude. So I think he's got like a fucking he doesn't give a fuck, dude. You know, like he knows he's on borrowed time anyway. So
Yeah.
he's like, fuck it, he doesn't care. That's why I love him so much, dude. He's got so much he's kind of snarky, which I like, dude. Cause he and you can see, dude, like he was
Do you remember when the Globey a couple of years ago took his phone and threw it in the lake?
throwing the fucking lake. He threw the phone in the lake. And you see it the whole time, dude. You see the guy, and you hear him in the background, and then it's a point of view of the phone, dude. It's hilarious, and just goes plunk into the water, man.
Yeah, man, that's fucking
Yeah,
funny,
man.
dude.
He's always getting like people messing with him. I remember one lady when he was going hard with the COVID stuff, dude. You know, when he was hitting people with that, these Karens were fucking freaking out on him. You know, like throwing stuff at him and shit. Um, I like those guys, man. I admire those guys. Or like the Kakalaki crew and that whole South Carolina guys. Was his name Tommy?
Yeah,
You
Tommy
know, and
Ahmed.
like yeah, and Dr. Lawrence. I only know these guys by watching them. I don't really know them in real life or nothing, but um, that's so cool. That they do that, man. It's that's like we were saying before, Brian, about the community aspect of it, which may be the most important. Brian, when I first started talking, when I made a decision to come and start, you know, opening my mouth about this stuff, and I would say to myself, why am I doing it? And consistently, I just come back to one thing: community.
Hmm.
You know, that's the only reason why I'm doing it is because everything's community, Brian. When I look at the necessities of what we need to exist in this world, I only see a few things: food, shelter, community, and health. They're the only things that really matter. And then I realize even more, all those things could be under community because once you have a functioning community, food, shelter, and health is just part of that community. It's just natural with humans. Brian, they indoctrinate us to think that we need the system to survive, and it's anything but that. All the system does is destroy, right? When we exist naturally, we have all the food we could ever want. It's everywhere. fucking Earth just has it.
Mm-hmm.
If we want medicine, the best medicine comes from plants, not the poison that they give us.
Yeah.
There's more than a, what does the system give us? It just gives us death. So to me, it's all about community, man. And look at you, Brian. I mean, look where you live, man. Like, look at Karen and what she does in the whole, you know, community that's built up just around, you know, that environment. It's amazing. So that's why I'm talking, Brian, because I say to myself, I'll say, why am I doing this? Why am I on here doing this? And that's really what it is. So that's my self-interest. 'Cause I could say, well, I want to wake people up, and I could act highfalutin, and I do, think that. But in reality, maybe it's just pure self-interest. I want friends. I want community. I want people I could talk to. I want people that I could create economy with, people that
Mm-hmm.
I could create an economy, trade, build, grow with. So,
So you have a unique perspective on the January 6th thing that went down that was much talked about with the whole Capitol building and all that. And you were actually there for that, you said. You want to get into that story and what your take
I was
is?
there. Yep. Saw the whole thing with my own two eyes.
No, can you tell us why you were
You know,
there or what you were doing there?
I mean, you want to go into this, dude?
Yeah.
Are we doing this? Let's fucking do it then.
Yeah, let's go.
So first of all, to any fucking algorithm or fucking CIA spook, fucking Archon, whatever that's gonna fucking hear this, just remember this. What law would I be breaking by being on a public sidewalk, okay, observing an event? All right, so I'm just gonna pose that fucking first to anybody who thinks they're gonna fuck with me. All right, because last I checked, in this country, that's not illegal. All right, so don't even fucking try me. That's the first thing I'm saying. All right, and you spooks want to come fucking walking around here, you're not gonna find a warm welcome. I'm gonna tell you that fucking right off the rip. So, uh,
I love this guy. Shit. So okay, what happened? Why were you there anyways in the first place? And then let's go on with what you seen and
okay,
done.
so January 6th, 2021. All right, Brian. So this was going back the story I told about, me leaving my job and they're trying to fucking, all that stuff.
Yep,
A week later, I'm in DC at this event, dude. It all went down like the same week. It's like 3 days later, dude.
that's craziness.
So you know what the environment was at that time, and the way I ended up there was because obviously I wasn't a Trump guy. I'm a flat Earth fucking Mandela effect fucking person there. It's not like I went there for Trump, but I just had a feeling that, like I said, I just left uh my job, so I didn't have anything to do. Cashed in my 401k. It's not like I went out and like got another job, dude. I was just, getting my life together. So, like I said, I live in New Jersey, and I knew this event was going down, right? So I said, "Fuck it, I'm going." So I just cruise in. I got there early, Brian, right? So I get there early. And here's the thing about the situation is, when we talk about like 9/11 and who's in on it and stuff, so I'll put this out right in front. And this is what I took away from the experience, Brian, is I watched the entire scenario play out right in front of me, where all the characters had no idea that they were in the middle of a puppeted engineered event. They just played their role unwittingly,
Mm-hmm.
man. It's, you know what I'm saying? Like all the cops really thought they were defending the quote unquote rioters. All the rioters actually thought that they were standing up for their supposed freedoms and their democracy.
Yeah.
I think the fucking president thought that he's an actual fucking president. I don't even think the president knows, dude. They're just fucking being controlled, Brian. They're just being controlled. That's the big secret. There's very few people in on it, man. All the actors, they're just actors. They're playing it out, man. They don't even know they're in a fucking movie, dude. They're just playing roles being puppeted. That's what I got out of the whole thing. So anyway, I showed up early, right? And you just go and you just park anywhere, and I parked near the Washington Monument down a little bit along this like water. So I get out of the car, and then all these other cars are pulling up and they're parking, dude. And it's all these like guys, they get out and dude, right away, they're in flak jackets. This is like early in the morning, dude. This may be like 8 o'clock in the morning. All the speeches and everything didn't start till like later in the morning, then afternoon, you know? Because what it was, Brian, Trump was speaking. So everybody showed up in front of the White House, all the way up to the Washington Monument. And there was way more people there than they said, Brian, for the speech. There was probably 100,000 people. I'm not even fucking joking, dude. 50, 70,000 by the time Trump spoke. You couldn't even move. So I got there early and I get out and all of a sudden and they see these vans and shit pull up and all these guys get out and they're fucking strapped up, dude. They're all fucking packing. They got big fucking flak jackets on, some of them with helmets. And I'm like, and they didn't have that spook vibe to me, dude. They didn't have that CIA fucking skull and bones fucking jerking each other off in a coffin vibe. These were just dudes. They're probably just fucking cute-tarts. Being serious, dude. So these guys come rolling out of the van, and right away, so now I know the tenor of the fucking day. I'm like, they're in fucking fatigues and flak jackets and shit, and they're fucking strapped up, these dudes, right? So this is early in the morning. That's the first thing I notice. So I'm hanging around. I start to walk up. Like I said, I got there really early, so I walk by the Washington Monument, and I'm heading down towards the White House. And I walk all the way down till you can't go any further. I walked as furthest as I can, closest I can get to the White House. Because after that, there was a fence as you approach more to the White House lawn.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that was like a second tier. Like to get through that, you had to have a pass or be somebody. You know what I mean? So you can only get so close to the podium and shit. So I was there. I'm sitting there. And now people are starting to fill in. They're starting to fill in. And I'm getting a tenor. I'm getting a vibe, you know? Because I'm not a fucking cute-tart like all these people. I'm like, you know, me, a fucking guy who thinks that everything's consciousness, you know what I mean? And knows that fucking Fruit Loops fucking changed, you know? And I'm there against all these fucking cute-tart normies, dude. So I'm watching them all come in. And I'm like, so what I noticed is most of the people, when they started arriving, they were just like your average, like, boomer, you know? It was like the Trump lover boomers, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They were just these older people, and they're all coming in, and, you know, picture your average 50, 60, 70-year-old person, husband and wives and stuff, you know? Just a couple of them had, like, younger people. That was mostly the crowd. It was like the boomer Trump Q crowd, you know, the MAGA crowd. They come showing up. Because remember, this was all Trump had been ousted. He was still in office, and this was the day that the Congress was supposed to ratify the election. And remember, he wanted, you know, the story was he wanted Pence to go against it and stuff. Anyway, that's the environment. So they're all showing up. And, you know, it wasn't a love fest, put it that way. You know, I used to, like I said, I used to go to Fish concerts and stuff. And, you know, I've been to love fests before. Put it this way, Brian, love fests aren't even love fests. So you can imagine what this fucking thing was. You know, it just had a weird vibe to it. But it was just like that. It was mostly just like boomer fucking Trump MAGA people. So everybody starts packing in. Then the speeches start. You know, it was this guy, that guy, and fucking, I think Giuliani got on and he started going on. By the time Giuliani got on, that's when the crowd started building. Remember I said, Brian, I was all the way up front. So now by the time I could look back and I see people all the way back to the Washington Monument, right? They're all the way back, right? So it started to get crazy. And when I said there was 100,000 people, I'm pretty sure there were, which is
That's a shit ton of people.
plays into the story. Because you got 100,000 people that they knew were coming to D.C., but yet they had the Capitol building protected by fucking, it might as well have been little fucking velour velvet ropes, like at a fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like at a theater, it was these little fences that you could push over, but they knew 100,000 people were showing up pissed off. You couldn't get anywhere. You couldn't have got to the White House with a fucking army in a tank, dude. It had huge fortified, huge fences, multiple fences and shit. You couldn't have got to the White House with a fucking army, but yet 100,000 people descending on the Capitol. They knew they were going to have a march down there. but they put no protection at all. Nothing. They don't even call the DC fucking police in, the National Guard, put some fences up, adjourn Congress for the day, go somewhere under an emergency. No, they play the whole fucking thing out. Like a fucking soap opera, dude. If something looks like a script, it's probably a script.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. If something looks like it's a fucking stupid script from a shit movie, like, Clear and Present Danger from some movie from the 80s or
Like
something, it's
like
probably a fucking script.
like literally everything they've ever presented to us on the screen. Every fucking event ever I've ever looked into has been complete nonsense. Complete
Yeah.
script.
So now Trump comes on, dude. Now, as soon as Trump comes on, the crowd descends in. And now I'm locked in, dude. Now, I've been in crowds before, Brian. I've been in big crowds before, but nothing ever like this. Because once that crowd descended, nobody could move an inch, dude. You couldn't even, if you had to get out, you couldn't. People were driving, a couple of people died because once that crowd descended, you weren't moving. I don't know if anybody's ever been in a crowd like that, but when you're in the center of a crowd of that with tens of thousands, maybe even 100,000 people, you can't understand what the feeling is until you're there. You can only submit to the crowd. You're completely helpless. You're completely helpless. You know, Trump goes on and he's doing his thing and he's, blah, blah, blah. And he goes through his speech and whatever, right? So the tenor of the crowd was just like I said, you know, wasn't a love fest, but it wasn't a fucking riot. I'll tell you that. So here's the funny part of the story. Brian, I had been there for so long, I had to take a piss so fucking bad, dude. I was holding my piss for like for like hours. So when the speeches ended and Trump instructed everybody march down and whatever the fuck he said, give him hell or whatever the fuck he said, I didn't fucking start marching down because I had to piss so fucking bad that all I wanted to do was find a place to go take a piss. I almost pissed in my pants, dude. To be honest, dude, it was excruciating. I don't know why I just didn't just piss in my pants, but it was cold. I didn't want to fucking do that,
No, that's gross.
you know. And you couldn't get to a point where I had to. That's the humanity of it, man. These old people must have just been pissing him. So I was sitting there looking, like as a younger man, it was tough for me to be in that environment because, like I said, once that crowd descended, for like hours you couldn't move, dude. You couldn't go anywhere. So this is my part of my story. So the fucking speech ends and then they start walking towards the Capitol. So I had to piss. So I go back to my car and I take a leak and I figure, fuck it, I'm not walking to the Capitol, you know? But then I start to hear something's going on there, what's going on, and I can, so like I said, I was near the Washington Monument, but if you ever been to DC, everything's kind of right there, you walk down a little bit, maybe a mile or two and you get to the Capitol building, but it's all right there, right? So I'm in my car taking a piss, and I start to get word something happened, something's going on at the Capitol. So I'm like, well, I ain't gonna miss this. So I start walking towards the Capitol building. By the time I got there, they had breached in, everybody was inside, and my take on it is, like I said to you, Brian, I was seeing people coming out. So I was standing watching people literally walk out, and they're flowing out and they're exuberant. These were real people, Brian, who thought that they were just caught up in some act of manufactured patriotism.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I saw in their faces, dude.
Yeah.
They were just what I said, dude. That's why like 9/11, now when I look at 9/11, Brian, is like I can see how you can have a completely orchestrated event where all the key characters have no clue that they're playing into a fucking
Yeah.
orchestrated, fabricated hoax,
Yeah.
right? Because they're just operating from their conditioning. They all think they're playing a role in it, and they just zap into the fucking frequency, and that's it, right? So I'm watching their faces. I'm like, these weren't. They were just people, man. And that's the thing, dude. They weren't even like militia people. Now the militia people were there and they were involved in it, but the majority of the people were just fucking
Just regular
yo-yos, dude. They
people
were
that
your
played
average.
up. Yeah. They just went with the flow
Yeah,
of the
dude.
day. Yeah.
Exactly. Like that Q shaman guy with them horns and his face
The
painted, dude.
Mandela
It's
affected
fine to
flag
see.
on his face.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's funny. I never thought about it. You're right. Um, He was just probably some dude who showed up and got all excited in the pageantry of the moment, and he ends up in there with his face painted and stuff, like and so by the time I got there, the weird part about it, Brian, is it wasn't this like chaotic environment. As I'm walking up and I'm seeing the Capitol and people are hanging off the fucking stairs and shit. And Brian, they had, you seen it on the news, they had all these, conveniently enough, had all these bleachers set up because they had prepared it for the inauguration of Biden's inauguration was taking place sometime soon after that. So they had all these. It was like they prepared a stage for that day, dude. And that's why you see all those people hanging off all those, um, those seats and whatever you want to call them, scaffolding and shit, because it was set up for the inauguration that they were having in the near future. And that's why it looks like a scene. If you ever seen the movie Les Miserables, they painted a whole scene for people. Like in Les Mis, when they're fucking waving flags and they're all piled on top of each other and they got all that shit stacked and they're going against the ruling elite, dude. This is how they orchestrate shit, dude. You think they just happen to have those bleachers up? So I get there and everyone's hanging, and it wasn't even like chaos. Like, Brian, dude, there was like right outside of the Capitol, there was like families with kids and they're like eating hot dogs. The hot dog vendor was still selling hot dogs, dude. You see how bizarre that is, dude?
Yeah.
The fucking hot dog guy was right there selling hot dogs, and there was kids sitting by the fountains eating hot dogs
So
as this the fucking supposed
so
insurrection against the
oh,
country's going on, and there's a family fucking
it's
eating
it
candy
reminds
and
me
shit watching it,
it
dude.
reminds me of the Vegas hoax. All they need to do is basically get the real amount of people in there in the crowd. They get them to play some minor role, and then they do have some actors and stuff involved doing certain stage things, and they just frame it a certain way on the media, and it gets portrayed completely different than how it went down in reality.
Exactly, dude. It was like I said, there was kid. There was no sense of alarm. There was no alarm. It was just fucking so bizarre, dude. You know what else I noticed is the only presence that I picked up that knew what was going on, because I have a keen eye for shit like this. There'd be like a Brian, dude. There'd be like a jogger that would run by,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, "You're fucking FBI." It was just like a random jogger, like a 6'3" guy, looks like he's straight out of fucking Quantico, like straight out of central casting for a CIA fucking spook, dude. You know what I mean? And he's jogging along with a perfect fucking haircut. He happens to be jogging. Oh, that guy doesn't with the perfect haircut doesn't have a job. He's just jogging at like 2 o'clock. This is the stupidest fucking thing. But I see these things, Brian. So I see all these spooks fucking jogging around like they're just fucking whatever. The cops, dude, all day in DC were just driving in circles, dude. All you heard was sirens all day, but you didn't see none. You would just see fucking cars driving around the perimeter of the
It's
environment,
fucking
doing
clown world,
nothing. Just
dude. What a
dude,
clown world, dude.
total clown world, Brian. I watched it all with my own eyes. So as I'm looking at this, Brian, I'm thinking in my head, I'm looking around at DC, and I'm like, these motherfuckers, they created this whole town, this District of Columbia, with their occult architecture, their occult city planning and engineering, with all the Roman fucking allusions to Roman culture and these gods, these Roman gods and shit. They created this playground, fake fucking, it's all fake, Brian. There ain't nothing going on in that Congress building. They do nothing. It's they created like a set, like a play, so we could all play politics.
Yeah.
So we could all play
Yeah.
president. We could all play democracy. We can all play rights. It's fucking bullshit, dude. They just built a bunch of pretty buildings to put a little play on for people. That's what all hit me when I was there. I'm looking. I'm like we're talking about Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Remember the Land of Make Believe?
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood
Yeah.
with Prince Friday and was it Princess Queen Wednesday or whatever the fuck it was? Like DC is Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. That's all it is. That's all it is. DC is a fucking puppet show. And that's what I realized. They built all these buildings as a fucking weird, occult, ritualistic puppet show. All of it, dude. I realized it in that moment. Brian, I could feel the energy, dude. It was almost like I was waiting for a huge hand to just come out of the sky, like a monster hand, like the marionetteer just to come out.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like, a big puppet show. And I'm watching all these people, dude, completely controlled. They all think it's real. I'm like, and I knew it was big, dude. Like, it's weird when you're in moments like that, Brian. Like you can sense that it's big. Like in my mom, like, oh shit, this is a fucking big thing I'm looking at here. But like, it's still just you're in the moment, right? So it's just like kind of normal, because you're participating in it. It's just like everything, you're still yourself. You're still in your reality. And you're watching it. But in my head, I'm like, no, this is like, oh shit, like they just fucking busted down the doors and now they're all running around inside that building. So Brian, put it this way: if they wanted to protect that building, they would have protected it. They would have protected it. They wouldn't have let 100,000 people show up to DC and just leave these senators and congressmen just in there doing their thing, leaving them to a mob of tens of thousands of people to descend upon them with no protection. And people think that's real, that that's not a completely fucking totally set up event, but yet they all do. They all think it, man. And that's what I think, dude. They create they create they create a reality for us that's completely engineered from the top down. There's no such thing as countries. We know that.
Yeah.
Once you're onto the NASA lie, you realize there's no countries, because if they're all participating in a lie in space, if there's a Chinese space program, a Russian space program, a U.S. space program, and we're all up there floating around like a bunch of fucks in a fake environment, and all these countries are complicit, dude. But yet we're presented with a story that there's these geopolitical conflicts and that we have these these wars and stuff. It's just engineered from the top down, man. And that's what people. It's the hardest part for people to grasp, Brian, is the enormity of the situation, because once you realize it's completely engineered from the top down, there's no such thing as private corporations. There's no such thing as even private entities. If you're using fiat currency, it's not yours, it's theirs. You're just doing the work for them. Sorry to break it to people who don't know that. It's run from the complete top down. It's probably bloodlines. Really, is probably what it is. Brian, I don't see this world any different than like the mafia, dude. I see it as bloodlines fighting each other, creating a puppeteered, fake, engineered world, okay? Giving us a little show that we could all play along, because if they make it too fake, why would we play along with it? Like I said, they manufacture consent. They get us to buy in as they puppet us. Now, the big question is, why are they doing it? Because people think they're doing it for money or for power. And I think that's a part of it, but I think it's way more than that, dude. I think it's spiritual. I think what they're doing is, that's why they call money currency, because it really has an electrical currency, because it's our currency that we put into it with our faith. So by buying into their system, we're taking our spiritual currency and we're giving it to them, and I think they're feeding off of it. I think it's a weird occultic way that they siphon our energy, and again, we give it to them through consent. And that's what I was saying about the Declaration of Independence before. So they get us to consent to sacrificing ourselves to them. I really think that's what it is, man. And people always want to ask, well, who's they? Who's on top? Somebody tried to pose that question to me the other day in somebody's chat, and I said, who's they? Oh, I said, well, they's not you. How's that?
Yeah.
You don't have to know who they is.
Yeah.
They's not you. Whoever they are, they're not you. So the reality is, people, we want to look at the Zionists. We want to look at the Jesuits, right? We want to label. We want to put a label on who it is. But whatever modicum of power that these groups may have, they're probably serving larger entities. And Brian, when you look in their magic, it shows that. And I could pull a spell like Brian, from what I've discovered, their magic is it's a fallen angel magic. They call it Enochian magic. This is real, people. You can laugh if you want, but they call it Enochian magic, like Enoch, who's supposed to be. It's a fallen angel magic. And I think when we look at the four four-letter tetragrammaton God that's presented in the Judeo-Christian tradition, we may see evidence of who these beings are. Sorry. But when you look at the magic, whatever these beings are, Brian, who are controlling this reality, they seem to like blood an awful lot. Blood, their magic seems to be a blood magic. It seems as though these elites are using ritualistic occult blood magic to summon these dark entities. It's really what I think it is, Brian. So people want to point to the Jews, and I even myself will often, because the Zionist movement is obviously playing a huge role here.
Mm-hmm.
You can't forget about the Jesuits either. You know, Brian, for the longest time, I couldn't understand because people say Jesuit Zionist, Jesuit Zionist. And I'd say, well, what's the commonality between them two? And the whole time I was overlooking the very simple fact they both worship the same God. You know, we're presented with this God so much that we just assume that's what God is, not realizing that this is probably just some entity, right? So the Jesuits and the Zionists, they're worshiping the same God. So it doesn't have to go any further than that. Now, who is this being? You know, who is this four-letter tetragrammaton? So I'm trying to be nice, Brian. I I don't want to hurt people. You know what I'm saying, dude?
Yeah,
So I'm trying to say it in a certain way.
I got you, dude. I got you. Well, listen, I am starting to get pretty tired here. We're almost at 5 hours, and
Damn.
we touched on a lot of stuff. Is there anything you didn't get to mention that you really wanted to get into?
Well, I mean,
Anything
all right,
else?
people, here's the thing.
Yeah, there we go.
When it comes to health, don't buy what they're selling you, okay? Because they're presenting you with a model of reality that is complete hoax, fabrication, and deception. So why would you buy in to any of the medicine that they're presenting you? They suppressed research into actual medicine. Look no further than cannabis. Look no further than plant medicine, green medicine, okay? Green plants, alkalinity in the body. If you really want to look at disease, people, look at your alkalinity. Alkaline is pH. When you look at your pH, pH stands for power or potential of hydrogen. Something that's more acidic has more positively charged hydrogen ions. Okay? What am I trying to say? Is your body's electrically charged. If your body becomes too acidic, you become too charged with positive hydrogen ions. You're now electromagnetically out of sync. And that's, Brian, where I think disease comes from. I think disease is electromagnetic, not viral.
Mm-hmm.
I think disease is a physical manifestation of an electromagnetic and spiritual malady that we label as a physical disease. So if your body is not in balance, you're more susceptible to these diseases magnetically. Okay? Look at the pH in your body. Look at what you consume. Look at what's available in plant medicine. And look at the poison that this system is presenting to you as medicine, as they're hiding and suppressing research into real medicine and real health. What does that say about your system? Don't buy what they're selling. They're trying to co-opt all your natural power, all your divinity, and they're trying to put it on themselves. So you submit your sovereignty and your divinity over to them. Don't buy what they're selling. Don't buy their currency. Don't buy into their economy. Don't buy into their religions. Their system has nothing for you. It's a death system. Their whole religion is a death religion. It's a death cult. Okay? They hide behind corporations. It's right in the name, corpse. Corpse is a dead entity. All right? This is a form of necromancy. That's the magic that they use. The system is a death. Gives nothing. It only takes. Find your sovereignty. Find who. It doesn't matter which God you worship. Just get an understanding and a concept of God. Okay? Because what they're trying to tell you is you evolved from a single-celled amoeba and you live in an ever-expanding universe with infinite galaxies that developed over billions of years, and that you're basically nothing. And nothing could be more further from the truth. So don't give it to them. Take it back. You don't need anybody else. Do it yourself. Remember, fear not the ones that could kill your body, but the one that can kill your body and your soul. That's it, Brian.
So, all right, one last question. Why did you decide to come on today and tell everybody a story and give this interview?
Well, Brian, because of you, dude. Going to the truth. Because of you, because this is the place where I knew I could speak freely to somebody who would be receptive to it. And not only that, somebody who I could resonate with and bring me to a level of consciousness that maybe I wouldn't have been able to get to by myself. So thank you, brother.
Thank you.